it changed the whole industry, like what works and what doesn't, because so we shut down, right? And then all of a sudden it was like, what's the outlet? We don't have any outlet, and so everybody like flooded to social media. Before the pandemic, it was like nobody wants to put stuff online because they don't. It's like called burning your material. Once it goes online, people have seen it. It's done. So then they go see a live show and they're like, I've seen this before, right? Yeah. And it the thing that kind of sucks is when you burn material. Essentially, back in the day before social media, burning material was just when you recorded a special. Mm-hmm. Then that hour's done.
Which
then
only happened, maybe once a year?
The most people were pumping out was once a year. Seinfeld did a special and then toured with that stuff for 10 years. Mm-hmm. Like, and so you had time to craft a joke. You know what I mean? Like you could work on it for 2 months and then put it on the back burner and bring it back 3 months later, work on it. At the end of the day, that 6-minute joke was down to like a 2-minute, but it was real good. You know what I mean? It was pop, pop, pop. It was really, but like it, it takes time to like chisel it out, work on it, whatever else.
I mean, how long does it take you to get like a tight 20 minutes? Like where you're like, oh yeah, these are all good.
God, I mean, probably honest, some bits are just there. Some bits just get there from the get-go, and then some bits, like literally, I could have a 4-minute bit that took 2 years.
Really?
Because I worked on it, and I'm like, I just can't get it. And then sometimes you just go, I'll come back to it. I'm not going to work on it for 6 months, whatever. And then all of a sudden you bring it back, and you just have like a new perspective, or you have a new idea, or you attach it to another bit. Mm-hmm. And you're like, oh, these two kind of fit together. And then it has a different life to it. Yeah. And all of a sudden, it works.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. There's never, not all the children are different.
And you had been doing comedy for what I would assume would be a longer amount of time before the pandemic.
Yeah. I was doing comedy for like 5 years before. So it was like, before it was like, oh, your material is precious. Don't put it online until you release a special, blah, 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 blah. Uh-huh. Then pandemic happened, and then snap, social media was all everyone had. And then people started putting clips online, reels online. And all of a sudden, people's like, who were doing nothing, who weren't even or headliners, their following just went skyrocketed.
Yeah.
And then it was like, now, I mean, I hate to put his name, not that he's not a great person, mm-hmm. But now people are like, oh, you're a comedian. Do you know Matt Rife? And you're like, well, there's a lot of really comedians out there.
He is all over the place, isn't he?
But he capitalized on the crowd work stuff. I mean, Andrew Schultz was doing it before, but like,
sure.
But the people that are complaining about like, oh, comedy's just crowd work stuff. It's not. But we had to go, okay, now people are like, we want to see stuff online because other comedians are putting stuff online. So now you have to answer the industry's changing, right? You have to put your stuff online, but you don't want to burn stuff. I want to work on my stuff. What's the answer to put stuff online if you don't want to burn stuff?
While it's not all crowd work, I mean, I would say the best comedians are definitely the ones that are really good with the crowd. I mean, working with stuff that isn't in the material and you're great at this. I mean, if someone just comes on and has something weird, like that one chick whose name was Mac Daddy or something, that one just out of nowhere. I mean,
real angel.
How would you ever have known? I mean, you can't.
Special angel.
That's just so special. You
Yeah.
have no idea their name's gonna be that.
I know. Oh, it's so fun. Yeah. So now it's like I said, it was changed the whole industry where like there are crowd work comics now who before that was
Who in your opinion is the best at that? If you had to pick one.
At crowd work?
Yeah.
Jessica Kirson. Have you watched her?
No.
Oh my god.
Never.
Oh my god.
Hang on. Pull up her stuff.
Oh, she is one of my favorite comics. She's so damn funny. She is just.
Jessica, how do you spell her last name?
Kirson, I think. She's in New York. She's been doing it for years.
Kirson.
Yeah. And she...
No, honestly, that's crazy because I love all the comedians that I see. I've never seen this person.
She just lovingly demolishes everyone in the audience.
That's good too.
Killing him with love.
And
killing him with kindness. Oh,
yeah. And she's... Oh, man. She's so good. She's so fun to watch. She's just like... She's this comic from New York. Like, she's been working the cellar for years. And she put out a special that Bill Burr presented a couple years ago.
Did she open for him? What in the world is this thing doing?
No, he just saw her and was like, why aren't you, I think. He's like, you should be bigger than you are right now. Everybody needs to see who you are. So he kind of, I think he put his backing behind her special.
New York, that would be an amazing place to do comedy. Do you have a lot of experience doing comedy in New York?
Yeah, I moved to LA. I had to make a decision, should I do LA or New York? And New York is definitely like for comics who are like, I'm gonna grind. Like, you can do 8 shows a night. You know, get on the subway.
This is her, Catherine. This is her page right here.
Yes. Oh, I love her so much.
Gotcha.
She that's just a merch plug, but her like.
We'll go to her. Let's go to her.
Go to
tag.
her.
Or no, that's not it.
Go to her reels and see one that has a lot of views. Can you do that?
What do you do? Yeah. What? You make sweaters? You make personalized sweaters? Cool. What kind of sweaters? Like for sports? Yeah. Long Island or Queens? Queens too? Brooklyn and the Bronx? Just Queens. You cut it there. Why? You can make more money if you go into other boroughs. How about Staten Island? There. I fucking love you. What's your name? Moisha?
Moisha.
Jewish? Most Jews are like, hey, no, what's going on? It's weird you talk like that. You want to go to temple on Saturday? I've never heard a Jew talk the way you're talking. I own a sweater business. When are we going to have Passover dinner? Happy Rosh Hashanah.
Okay, that's hysterical. Wasn't Moish actually in the sweater business in The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel?
Yes.
Did you ever see that?
Yeah, yes.
You know what I'm talking about?
Best. Perfect.
It's the best show.
I'm so sad that show has
Yeah.
come to an end.
Oh, we just connected on something. That's like our favorite show.
Really?
That's one of them. Yeah. Abe Weissman. It's like my spirit animal.
Dude, I remember. Do you remember from Monk?
Of course.
I couldn't like not see Monk when I was watching it though.
I got one even deeper. You remember him in Pain and Gain?
No, I don't know. I don't remember that. What was that?
It's that movie with Mark Wahlberg and The Rock where they're bodybuilders who kidnap the rich guy and steal his money. They take his life. It's a true story. Oh my God!
Is it a true story?
Yes, it's a true story.
It feels like if you had to write a movie that you were going to star in, this would be the movie.
The movie is hysterical because they make fun and they make light of the fact that the story is so ridiculous that it's almost unbelievable.
2 bodybuilders.
Three bodybuilders.
Oh God,
they had
it keeps getting better.
He lived in Miami. Of course, he lived in Miami. They had this client. They knew he had money, so they basically kidnapped him, forced him to transfer money into their account, and then like tried to murder him. They botched the murder. I don't want to give any, but it's a hysterical film, and he plays the rich guy.
The rich guy.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll watch it.
Yeah.
Do they just kidnap him because they need
money,
more weights
they
to put in their gym?
Literally,
they need a leg press machine.
Mark Wahlberg's character, Daniel Lugo was his name. Daniel Lugo's the real guy in real life. He went to a Johnny Woo inspirational seminar where Woo basically told the crowd, you are either a doer or a don'ter.
Yeah.
And he took that to heart. And so he kidnapped his client and basically ransomed his money and forced him to give away all his shit. He ended up living in his house.
But he let him live in his house?
He transferred the they kept him locked up in a again, I can't make this up. They kept him locked up in a sex toy storage warehouse for like 6 months while he called his lawyers, transferred his deeds, transferred his money. This is not made up. This is a true story. This is what makes this story so ridiculous.
This is how I know that rich man was hated by everyone.
Oh, he was a dick.
Because if you're calling your lawyers and you're like, I need you to transfer everything to these 3 guys immediately, and then when the lawyer's not flagging it, he's like, okay. Right. He's like, sure thing. I would be happy to.
It's literally the cornerstone of his character is that, and the guy who plays Abe Weissman played Monk. He plays this to a T. He's such a good, just a jerk. He's just a dick. And it's literally what you just said. That's why they got away with it, because no one cared about him.
Yeah.
Everyone hated him.
He's on his phone with his lawyer, and he's like, and also I need help. He's like, oh, sorry, you break it up. I'll wire that now. Bye.
He at one point, they made him call and send his wife and kid out of the country so they could move into his house.
This is not true.
This is
There's
true.
no
This is
way.
a true story. It's nuts. Yeah, Daniel Lugo happened in Miami. I think it happened in like 1994, 1995. There's a murder and
There's
a whole
internet then.
Yeah. Barely. 1994?
Yeah, there was
Yeah,
internet then.
okay. But I mean,
When-
people are
It was
pinging.
dial-up.
People could ping a cell phone then.
That was back then when the internet was like, hey, you know this wacky thing? Like some of us are doing the internet. And people were like, nah, fuck that. I'm not doing the internet. I don't need it.
You're
Like,
like chatting.
No,
That's back before now you got ChatGPT. No
This-
one thinks on their own.
this is too close to Y2K. I'm not doing this.
Oh my God, I forgot about Y2K. Remember they thought they were going to shut down like the world?
Yeah.
They thought like the whole world would shut down when we hit
Yeah, that, and then you remember the Aztec calendar?
Oh yeah.
The
yeah.
Aztec calendar.
is it Mayan or
Mayan.
Mayan?
The
Is it
Mayan
Mayan?
calendar.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Hey, hold on though.
I know there's some superhero from the Mayans and then one from the Aztecs.
I'm
So
gonna make your question seem a lot more valid with my question. Is there a difference between the Mayans and the Aztecs?
yes,
course
I
there
know
is.
that.
There
Being
is?
that there's different names.
Fair.
Is there a
Boom.
difference between the Italians and the Jews?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair. It was. Yeah. One of them was.
We can edit that out post production.
No, absolutely. Make that the clip. Make that the clip at the top.
Which one had the calendar though? Was it the Aztecs or was it the Mayans?
Mayans, I
The
believe.
Mayans had the calendar.
I'm sure they both had calendars, but
And they got like
One
a
of
bunch
them
of stuff
predicted the
right,
end of the
right?
world.
They predicted like a bunch of the correct events.
Right, and then like they were like, "This is the end of the world," and it was like what? It was September 12th. Am I like 20?
2020,
I
yeah.
remember it was
20?
20. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
I
like
think they
everybody
just
was-
ran out of parchment and like
They were like, "We're not gonna get to 2020.
Well, I mean,
Let's just give
at
up."
one point they got conquered or stricken with disease from the Spanish, so someone stopped writing at some point.
Right. They ended because there was a splurt of blood on the page, and they were like, "Well, he just died. He had TB."
But yeah, so at the pandemic, you start this podcast.
Yeah.
Why? Whose idea was it?
Oh, I was doing comedy. I was dating a comic. Number one lesson: never date a comedian.
Is that a bad idea?
100. There is.
I've never dated a comic. Is it a bad idea?
There is not a more alluring profession for a pure narcissist than a stand-up comedian. Oh, you want to ask people to pay to hear your thoughts and opinions?
Get up there and give me the mic.
Do you want to feel superior about your thoughts and opinions about everybody, and you want to make people shut up and listen to them? Be a stand-up comedian. And yeah, it's the most selfish profession in the entire world. But like, okay, in a relationship, there might be one good person who dates a comedian. Fine. 2 comedians dating? Absolutely not. The end of the world.
Well, hold on. I mean, but you've got, Tom Segura and his wife are.
Yeah.
There's an example. I'm trying to think of another example of 2 comics that seem to have, because they've been together for a minute.
Yeah. You see how this is one example?
I can't come up with another one.
No, I mean, I'm sure there are some healthy people, and I think they came up like they were married when they weren't doing great, right? Like before.
Yeah.
Before,
Yeah. But
yeah.
they started as comics together, I think.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
I mean, I do know some relationships, but as a whole, like comedians are not great people. Period.
Okay.
Like,
yeah.
I mean, they're just very, very self-centered. I mean, you know when people are like too smart for their own good. Well, I wouldn't call comedians too smart for their own good, but like they're people please. They're like they know how to work people's brains and minds.
Yeah.
I think I don't know, that can be a little manipulative. Anyways, dating this guy. There was another comedian, Lace Larrabee. I was in Atlanta. I was doing comedy in Atlanta. She had been doing it before me. She was already killing it. Like I looked up to her. She was doing this bit at the time for a while that I loved about how she had an ex-boyfriend and she caught him cheating, and she, like the whole bit was like, he comes home drunk and you're fake sleeping, and then when he falls asleep you wake up from fake sleep and you grab his phone and you go under the bed and you
Oh my
and you're
God.
scrolling through his text message and you're like, wait, Jonathan's tits look much different than I remember, and then you find all the pictures and then you scroll and you screenshot the pictures and you send them to yourself and you scroll, screenshot, and then you have to go delete the pictures and the messages, and then you have to go delete the deleted, and you have to go delete the sent, and you're like, because you don't want him to catch you, then you have to wait till you can bring it up in public, and like it was this whole bit, right? And I was like, oh, this is such a fun bit. So I was dating this guy. Long story short, I was bored, so he was taking a nap on the couch. So I was like, I guess I'll just go through his phone now. And
my gosh. No, you didn't. Did you really?
Absolutely.
What'd you find?
Like I said, we're not mentally healthy people. Yeah.
That's rough.
I almost didn't find anything, and then I finally because we had a lot of girls that were friends.
Yeah.
And I almost didn't see, because this girl was sending him like long messages, and I was like, oh, just another friendly girl. And then I almost put it down, and then I see I usually don't do this with one night stands. I was like, what does that say? And so then I remembered Lacey's bit, and I was like, well, I gotta scroll screenshot. I gotta send it to myself, and I gotta go delete it. And caught him cheating, whatever. You're a kid, you go through those relationships. But I called her, and I was like, I pulled a Lace Larrabee, I screenshot it, and we were just talking about it, and we were like, dude, we didn't think it was actually going to turn into something. We were like, what if we did a podcast where people just called in and told us their experiences with cheating, whether they were the cheater or cheated or the third party or whatever. And it is just grown into this thing where now
it's brilliant.
Yeah,
it's so fun.
I last night I was watching a few of the sound bites from the IG page. It's hysterical, because 9 times out of 10 it's. Would you say that a lot of the times it's funny, or is a lot of times you have to make it funny because it's kind of traumatic for these people?
Well, that's the thing about every episode is different, and we've gone through so many different variations of the podcast now, where we used to have one guest a week and then a catch up, because Lacey and I were like, we're not talking about ourselves enough, and so we'd have to have our own
comedians.
Episode. We're like, what about me though? This is all about you.
What about me?
I want to talk. And so now with our schedules, we're on the road so much, we do one guest episode a week, and then the next week is just Lacey and I just
shooting the shit,
talking our shit.
Yeah.
And but that was the fun thing about it, is that people. So we'd have people call in, just civilians that would call in and tell us. Sometimes they'd be anonymous, sometimes they won't, and then other times we'll just have comedians come on. But everybody, some people's stories can be really deep and genuine, but we always will pull the funny stuff out of it,
right? And
then somebody else's story could just be a damn high school story, with a comedian comes on and they're just like, let me tell you about this just outrageously hilarious something that happened to them.
So I feel some people can definitely find the humor in a situation like that, but some people, it's not funny. To them, it's the worst. Which that's never been my experience with a breakup. I feel like I could always find something funny, right? But some people not.
Well, I'm okay, if you're coming on a podcast to tell the story, to two comedians, I'm you're not. This isn't Dr. Phil.
Yeah. That's that would be my concern, is that people would call in thinking oh, I'm going to talk about how I was, whatever, abused, and then I was really and that'd be hard to get the funny out of that.
Right, you start using the soundboard. Wah, wah,
yeah. Clap.
I think there's a inherent connection between trauma and comedy. I think there is. I think they're very, very close together. You want proof? Look at a guy like Anthony Jeselnik. He takes some of the darkest possible topics in the world. That most of them aren't true, but he'll make it.
This is gonna sound fucked up. I believe that, but he can't wait for another school shooting.
I know.
He goes, "Oh, my time to shine."
Oh, he's an acquired taste, but if you kind of connect with his vibe, he will kill you more than. And I love his kind of one punch liners. I love how he'll just do a short, snappy 2-sentence joke, and then on to the next one. Totally different topic.
Yeah, he's great at we call word economy. His comics. I'm not great. I love to tell a story. I'll drag that bitch out. But like him, Seinfeld's great at it, where they take, it's trimming the fat. They take out every word that is not necessary. Yeah. So the setup punchline is as short and as precise as it can possibly be.
It's short and snappy. It's a quick joke.
Yes.
But it's usually a very dark subject he's talking about.
Yeah. He's great. He's fantastic. He's also the subjects are really dark, but he's mastered word economy, and then his timing and his pacing are so good to where if you watch him, his like the way when he pauses.
Oh,
right
yeah.
before he
right
gives
before
you
he gives you the line,
it's-
the punchline.
Yeah, it's like you like learn all these tricks, but like that's like a psychological trick, like because it's almost like you're telling the audience,
Yeah.
it's about to hit.
Yeah.
And it's another like trick.
Yeah.
And he's so good at it.
Yeah.
He's a master.
He'll do the stories every once in a while, but it seems like as his career has progressed, he's gone all the way toward just the word economy, just the no fat jokes. That's kind of where he's gotten.
Yeah.
He did have one a while back though, in his early days, where he talked about the I think it was the Chinese people getting blown up in caves, where he went on and did a joke on Letterman or something, where he went up there and he talked about like 3 Asian stereotypes he wanted to use in the punchline, and they're like, you can't use that. Standards and practices is not going to pass that. You've got to change it to a different Asian stereotype.
Oh,
And he had used one about a laundromat, and they're like, you can't use it. You got to use different stereotype. He goes, okay, well, fine. How about instead of a laundromat, I say build a railroad, and they'll be like, okayed it.
dude, was Letterman, was he Tonight Show or was that Leno? No, yeah, that was Leno. Okay.
I don't know.
The Late Show,
The Late Show, maybe?
The Tonight Show. I don't.
I think he's Tonight Show. Letterman was Tonight Show,
Okay.
and Leno, I should know, was the Late Show.
Well, they're both not, on anymore. So it's
Yeah.
like it was those of us
Well, it
who...
was like Letterman went Fallon. Letterman then Fallon. Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
Because I don't even I can't imagine how Jesselnick even was on that, because they're so strict now about
Back then,
flagging them.
people were more fun.
Yeah.
Back then, television was more accepting. You could go on and you could
Well,
be a comedian.
Right. What the trick I learned was, because I did it and my stuff got flagged, and I was like, dude, I'm not even like, I had a joke where I said personality disorder, and they were like, you can't say that. And I was like, dude, they were like, just say disorder. And like the joke was like, it wasn't even a punchline then.
It doesn't
if you
work
took
if
it
it's not
out. And I was
disorder.
like, this isn't. Yeah. And I learned the trick was to you start off like real dark. Like you start off, if you want a joke about chicken pox, you start off with punching babies in the face.
Because you start that joke off about punching babies in the face, or
you pitch it as punching. I'm gonna punch a baby in the face, and they go, no, you can't say that. And you go, well, then what about AIDS? And they go, no. And then you go, all right, how about chickenpox? They go, okay. But if you started at chickenpox, they'd be like, I don't know, that might be a little bit touchy. And so you have to go when you like, especially like any of those network shows, NBC, anything like.
Yeah.
If you, I remember. I think when I was like pitching, when I was working on my Tonight Show set, and I was talking to David Spade, and he was like, NBC was SNL too, and he was like, we'd write sketches, and like we knew if we wanted like a car crash, again, if we'd have to start at AIDS, we'd have to pitch AIDS, so we could end with a family in a car crash.
This is just such a great eye into the world of what it's like writing jokes for network television.
Yeah.
Has censorship made its way into? I mean, because you're definitely a newer comedian.
I'm very young.
One would argue that you're having actually a tougher go with censorship than guys like David Spade, guys who came up in the '90s and were able to get away with a lot more. It seems like.
Yeah.
I mean, has that personality disorder being censored? What the hell? That doesn't make any sense. It's a medical condition, man. So I mean, where do you find is the most open platform for comedians to go?
I mean, I think that's why social media for comedians has become the new thing. Like comics are putting their specials out on YouTube. Like Andrew Schultz did that because some of the platforms were too scared if he put his stuff out that they would get backlash for it. So it's kind of I don't know. It's a weird time because, well, this is the key. This is what I've learned from it. You can play the game. You can play the game and not trying to offend anybody at all. And then eventually you will get called out. Right. Or you could go so far the other way, like a Tim Dillon. Yeah. Where you are playing it all the time that when you say something, nobody's surprised. Nobody's pissed off because you're like, I've been there from the beginning. Mm-hmm. And then nobody comes at you because you've been doing it all along. Like as a joke, kind of. Have you ever watched Tim Dillon?
Of course.
Yeah. he's uncancelable because
he's so egregious. Yeah, he'll say anything.
Nobody's surprised, nobody's offended because you've been doing it from the beginning.
No. Well, plus he looks like he's going to offend you.
Yeah.
When you see him, you're like, yeah, this guy would say anything to me.
Yeah.
This guy, does not care.
Yeah. So I think it's
you don't look that way. That's the problem.
I know.
You don't look that way. If you say something egregious, people are going to be like, what did she just say?
You know what? My thing is I already know it's going to happen and you're just going to roll with it. And
your comedy's pretty clean though. I mean,
Yeah.
no, is that on purpose?
No. I genuinely, I've said it before. I don't try and, well, maybe I do. Okay. I think this was like a personal thing with me. I've always, from when I started comedy, was always told the dirty stuff. Even when you're writing, like, and you're like, okay, I want to work on this. The dirty stuff is the first thing that comes to your mind.
Sure.
I'm not saying it is the easiest, but sometimes it is the easiest.
I think it's easier.
Because sometimes a punchline that's really dirty, it's more of a shock value than it actually being funny.
Yeah.
You know, if somebody just hears you say can I say words
Say
here?
whatever you want.
Go for it.
If the punchline no matter what the punchline is, but if you just hear a young girl go up there and be like, pussy dick, you know, everyone's like, she just said pussy dick, and they laugh, but it might not necessarily be the cleverest of joke.
Yeah.
You just said pussy dick into a microphone. So I think I kind of in my own just ego was like, can I push myself beyond just a joke being funny for shock value?
Have you found that in your experience, because it seems, and maybe this is only a personal anecdote, it seems like female comedians a lot of times lean into the dirty stuff like a lot. From the ones we've seen, from the ones we've gone to, we're like, man, she was crazier than the headliner. Has that been your experience at all? I mean, with your fellow comedians, I mean, does it seem like they go for that as female fellow comedians?
Yeah, I think it is. There's a couple things. I think people just, it has been ingrained in everybody to be like, when the female starts talking dirty, everybody listen up. Like, it's just been this, like, people just, everything on the internet is about female comics are only dirty. It's just like, people can't wait to hear it and then comment about it. But, you know, it is a thing where we are ingrained as women to be the polite, presentable ones, that we must make sure that everybody in the room is happy with how we are perceived and how we are being. So all of a sudden we're getting a microphone and we're finally able to like speak our truth and everything. We get to talk about shit that everybody has told us to hush up about our whole lives. So I think it is a liberating experience for somebody, but it's also, I do think it is, as a comic, like, it's fun to talk about those things, but I think dudes do it just as much as women do, but the hairs on your back don't spike up when a dude talks about it, because
it's kind of more accepted.
But when a woman does it, it's like, the woman isn't being agreeable with everybody in the room all of a sudden, and we must let her know that. And so I think it just it alerts everyone's senses more.
It's interesting whenever anyone does it, goes really dirty or stays clean, because I mean, I don't agree with the arguments people say where they're like, oh, it's easy to be funny if you're dirty, you should just be clean. I'm like, well, all right, well then why isn't everyone funny who's ever, because there's a lot of comedians that go up and are dirty that aren't funny, like, and then there's Louis C.K. Yeah. It is like, okay, well, there's a difference between those two people. What is it? Oh, he happens to be one of the most hilarious human beings that's ever lived, and he's dirty. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I mean, no, you can be dirty. I mean, God, Eddie Murphy's like, but it was geniusness. You know, it was amazing.
Yeah. Chappelle too.
Yeah. No, I'm not saying dirty equals easy by any means. But I think there's a way. Again, like I said, like a dirty joke can be a phenomenal, amazing, hilarious joke.
Sure.
But you know, there's it go back to the shock value thing. Is it funny because there is wit and humor and like a depthness to that joke, or is it just like you just talking about your grandma's vagina?
Yeah, because shock value and humor are so intertwined when a comedian is being dirty that sometimes I think it's hard to tell the difference between the two.
Right. But there's so much art and there's so much. I mean, it's comedy. You know, like you're talking about taboos and everything else. Like half of it, you go into dirty stuff. Like that's the funny stuff with it. So it's not like. You know, I don't know. It's just the art behind the dirtiness. Yeah.
What did your family say when you told them you were going to do this as a career?
I mean, they rolled their eyes. They're just like, yeah, we know, we get it. You know, it's like, you know, when like the kid who's been like, you know, pretty feminine his whole life, and he's like, I'm gay, and everyone's like, yeah, we know. It was like that when I was like, I think I'm gonna try stand up. They were like, yeah, we get it. Of course, have fun.
How long did it take before you took it to I suppose, you know, you could have taken it serious immediately, but knowing that it actually could be a career?
Oh, probably. Well, I didn't think I was going to be successful in this at all. I was an event manager for like, I worked for the Magic. Like I was like the manager for the ushers and ticket takers at the Amway Arena.
Where are you from originally?
Magic. Louisville, Kentucky.
Oh, okay. Yep, you said it. That's right.
Yeah.
Kentucky. Yeah.
Was like kind of in this business, and it was like, I don't know if I love this. I like got out, and I was like, it was like nanning during the day, just trying to figure out like what my next career move was, and started. I took a bucket list thing, took a stand up comedy class, and then just kind of fell in love with it, and just every night I was like, this is fun. I'm just gonna keep going to mics. I didn't think I was gonna keep doing it at all. It was fun at the time, and I kept doing it. And it's, you know, like you take one bite of ice cream, and I'm gonna have another bite, and then the whole carton's gone, and you're on Fallon.
Did you go on Fallon?
Yeah.
Whoa, that's awesome! I didn't know that. That's great. I saw you on Bert.
Yes. Yeah. I did. My Tonight Show set was my year anniversary was 2 days ago.
No way. Mm-hmm. That's so cool.
That's
so
awesome.
How long have you done this total? I mean,
8 years.
8 years.
Mm-hmm.
It really does take that long to get something really going. I mean, anything of substance, I think, takes, what, you'd say at least 5 years, usually?
Yeah.
I mean, longer. I kind of hit, I mean, some people have hit, like, my level of, you know, like, being on the road, being a full-time stand-up comic, headlining weekends, everything else, in shorter time than me, but a lot of comics, it's 10-plus years. Yeah. But like I said, social media, like that's kind of when stuff started popping off. I just had some clips start blowing up, and then so it's been
horses.
Yeah, no. Horses, people.
Oh my God.
People cling to the horse stuff.
So much of it, like, oh, that's the horse chick. When I first brought you up to me, I'm like, what? Like she like rides horses or something? Like, no, she is a horse. Like she acts like I'm like, what is that? What does that mean? I mean, I saw it.
Yeah. Dude, every day I get another person sending me, you know, those videos of the hobby horses, the girls with the horse on the sticks, and they do the horse jumps themselves. Have you seen these videos?
So I hadn't seen any of this. I went down a rabbit hole for the last 2 days, just seeing. I can't believe how much of this is out there.
Are those fun. The kids whose parents can't afford to get them the horse or the horse riding lessons?
Yeah, but like somehow they're still supportive and let them ride a horse stick, and I'm like,
there's worse things your kid could be trying to do. I mean,
have you seen the competition? I'm like, somebody let me host this event or compete in it. Have you seen these?
Or compete in it?
100, and I will train. I will start training to this day. I will work on my hurdles. I will work on my hip flexors. I will be a horse jumper.
Oh, please do it.
Like. These competitions, like people send me new clips every day, so I've seen so many of them. But my favorites are not the horse jumps. You know, like there's like bars or levels, and there's girls like jumping over them like they're the horse. My favorite are I don't know what you call it, like the gates and the canters, and they're like they have the horse stick on there, and they're like, let's see her canter, and it's like a girl on her tippy toes, and she's like, and they're literally judging this young female or whatever human being and how well they saunter like a horse. And
is this an actual like refereed event? Like, is this an actual thing?
That's my second favorite thing about the clips, because like they're taking it so seriously. Like they have their hair in a braid, and they've got a table of judges. They're clearing this gymnasium.
You need to referee this.
Yeah, if you look in the background though, it's so serious. You know what I mean? Like there's judges, like, and then you look in the background, it's like a smattering of like 12 people, like in the benches, like on the stands, like
a few, it's deadbeat dads that are watching their daughters. Like, I can't believe you maybe come to this shit. I can't believe they're doing this.
It's so good. I want to start a TV show.
You should.
It's so funny to me. I mean, because
in my head, concept.
I know. I still talk about it to this day, but like, I don't know what it is. There is just like this love connection between like girls and horses, and like if you can't just get it being around a horse, you're like, I gotta be the horse.
Have you owned a horse?
No, never.
What? You've ridden horses though.
No.
From Kentucky?
No, I know that was the thing. Like, that's why I had to be a horse, because like my parents were like, we're not paying for horseback riding lessons. And so my friends and I were just like, when I tell you, we were like they were on the playground, like there was kids like playing kickball and foursquare. And then we were just the girls in the corner. Like I'd be like on all floors on the concrete in the parking lot. My friends like on top of me and pulling my hair like it's like reins. And being, come on, girl.
Oh my God.
Come on, girl. And like I'd go over to the grass and like take a bite of grass.
I feel like this is a personality disorder.
At the very least, just a disorder. Some type of a disorder.
Oh, okay. Says the person with the life-size Iron Man and a whole home that is turned into your
100%.
Avengers. What was the Avengers headquarters?
Yeah. To the
Yes,
Stark,
yes.
the Stark
Personality
building.
disorder. Are you shitting me? You're gonna get the damn Iron Man jewel inserted into your chest next year.
Oh, as a kid, they told my parents, they're like, oh, he'll never be able to see straight. Like, his ADD is so bad.
Yeah.
He can't, there's not a chance. He's going to be normal without drugs. Give him drugs. And they actually didn't, as weird as that is. But this is the result of that decision. I don't know if they made the right decision or not.
No, I think it's very healthy. And as I see, what's the wizard guy's name?
Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange shooting rays into me.
I still can't believe that you haven't seen are you big into it or not so much?
I used to be. It is fun. I love Marvel.
Yeah.
I had to.
I mean, because we're the same age. We grew up when like Marvel took off in the theaters. Like,
no, okay, that was my thing. I didn't. Yeah, no, we did. I did. Oh, I was obsessed with my thing. Well, I guess it's not. It's not. Is Spider-Man Marvel?
yeah.
Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man was my favorite movie.
Me too.
It was Kirsten Dunst. That, The Patriot, and Emperor's New Groove were like my three.
The Patriot is the first movie I was ever allowed to see that was rated R.
I mean, did it not blow your mind?
It's still to this day one of the best films ever made. Why doesn't anyone ever talk about that anymore?
Aim small, miss small. Aim small, miss small. That's what I think about when I write.
Oh,
I'm like, don't think about the big picture. Do little steps every day, and it will paint the big picture.
It was everybody in that film. Heath Ledger was in that movie. People forget about that too, man. That movie, everybody talks about the Joker. Heath Ledger in The Patriot was so good as Gabriel.
As a horse fanatic, do you remember what happens at the end of that movie?
When the horse gets speared.
My God.
Yes, and screams and dies on camera. Yes. I turned into a child psychopath. I was like, I'm ready to murder everybody who right now. I can't believe I thought that. Do you think they really killed a horse? Like I was like, Mel Gibson, man. He's pretty insane.
I wanted to write a letter and be like, I swear to God, kill Heath Ledger. I don't care. Kill a horse. Kill a horse.
Jim Caviezel got struck by lightning when he played Jesus in the Passion. He's like, fine, get back up there. I didn't get it yet. Get back up there.
Yeah, you're like, do you think that was a sign, Mel?
I know it's. This is hilarious. I know exactly the scene you're talking about.
Yes.
It's when the guy charges him and he takes the American flag and he spears the horse and the horse falls on the flag and dies and screams and dies.
Yeah.
Horses scream. Did you ever see Fury? Tank movie with Brad Pitt?
No.
Maybe don't, because you have a thing with this.
Is it one horse?
It's a lot of horses.
Nope. Why? No, absolutely not.
Oh, there's like in World War II, there's like a shit ton of horses that died. Because that's like back they were still using horses in warfare. It's weird.
Well, Washington had horses shot out from under him.
What?
Historically documented, yeah. George Washington.
What
do you mean shot out from under him?
So he was riding the horse. It was shot and killed, and he had to get off and obviously keep fighting. So yeah.
Well, I mean, it dates back because horses have been used in warfare for thousands of years, and if you want to dismount the rider, you have to kill the horse. the horse would actually attack you. The war horses, how they would train them, it's actually badass.
Okay, another movie reference. I just want you to know how I feel right now.
Yeah.
Do you remember? You remember Men in Black when the Roach Man, whenever they'd kill a roach, and he'd be like,
Yeah.
and he'd feel it in his soul. He'd be like, one of my brothers was just killed. I feel like that when you guys talk about these horses being killed.
Next subject.
I think it's hilarious that I would have assumed that you grew up riding horses and you owned horses and you like no, I was a horse on the playground.
Okay, because my era, we're like going back to 90s kids so much. My era was also like Lisa Frank. Do you remember like peak Lisa? Oh, God. How do you have Marvel murals everywhere and you don't know what Lisa Frank?
Who's
Do you
Lisa
know who
Frank?
I'm talking about?
No,
Oh,
I don't know who that
my
is.
God.
No.
Pull it up, Brandon.
Let me pull it up.
Lisa Frank this was like every girl's like lunchbox or like pencils and you would have like the felt coloring pages.
Yeah.
It was like tigers and dolphins and unicorns and they were all in these bright pinks and yellows and neons and blues. And
Lisa Frank.
And so she made like all these, and it was always like.
Is it her artwork? Is that what we're?
Yeah.
Oh, what in the world?
It's
Honestly, I'm probably just gonna abandon the TV today.
It's like
I think I might be familiar with what you're talking about.
Is this what you're talking about?
Yes. Yeah. So like back in like when you were going to school in like second grade or whatever, like everything was Lisa Frank, and so it was like
I remember that. You know what that is? You recognize that? Yeah.
So she like
it was
fantasized.
on everybody's backpack. It was on
Yes.
everybody's lunchbox.
Yes, you always wanted a Lisa Frank birthday party, like everything. So she made all these creatures like magical and like fantasized. So you're like, I love dolphins and horses and everything, and I want a neon pink dolphin one day.
Did she draw this stuff?
Yeah, she was like, I don't know what to compare her to these days, but like,
I didn't know this was all one person. I had no idea that
She's
the
still
one artist
around.
did all this stuff. Wow, good for her. Oh my god.
She must have made a lot of money doing that.
There's Lisa Frank Crocs.
oh, I'll get them to this day.
I'll send them to you.
Yes, I
Yeah.
want those. Yes,
I'll text them to you.
Yes,
Lisa Frank Crocs. You
Yeah.
should go on stage wear them. I could see you doing that. 100%.
I'll go on a full leotard, Lisa Frank.
Do it.
Yeah, so it was like, well, you're like a little kid, and you were like, oh, these creatures are my soul beings, and you like, I don't know, I like how you attach to superheroes.
Yeah.
I was like, I want to be a dolphin. I want to swim my dolphin sisters.
That's also neon.
Yes.
Man, and this is like before anybody discovered LSD. Like,
I know.
We were all into this when we were 12.
We were just Spice Girls and Lisa Frank, and
Spice Girls.
and so I don't know why I was so like horses became my spirit animal thing, and I couldn't, like, I wasn't around them, which was probably what fueled me even more to be obsessed with them, because I wasn't actually around the real creature and be like, oh, they poop and they bite you, and you know, like they're not all great, but I never actually like touched them that much, so I was just like in my bedroom just like imagining, you know, them like flying over rainbows.
It's a pretty surreal experience. I mean, when you ride a horse for the first time, our cousins had horses out here south of us, and so that was my real early experience with horses. But rode one, got bucked off one.
Did you get hurt?
Yeah, I did.
See, this is what I'm saying, because that's when you see you're not sold anymore, because they hurt you.
Okay, no, it was still fun. I did it again then after, but at the time, I mean, it's like you don't really understand how strong that animal is until you try to ride it and try to submit it, or at least try to cooperate with it, and it doesn't want to do that.
Yeah,
it can be scary, and there's a lot of, like, my dad is terrified of horses. He won't go near them. He's like, no, I'm not. We had horseback riding, I think maybe 7-8 years ago in Maui, and he's like, nah, I'll stay home. I'm gonna sit on the beach.
let me talk to him.
Yeah.
I'll get him to change his mind.
It's funny you say that, because I have a cousin who has a horse, and I got bucked off too. So
Did you really?
Yeah.
I was on with Joe, and he this guy was such a dick. I basically was riding on the back, and there was only one saddle, and he was in the saddle. And I was like, is it okay for me to just kind of like be sitting on the horse's ass without a saddle? He's like, yeah, you'll be fine. No. And then it bucked us both off, but I bucked backwards and hit the fence. And you're 11, 12 years old, so it's like
Oh,
you're fine.
You're a rubber band.
You're a rubber band. You're fine. It's not a big deal. But yeah, when I have a hip, he threw us both off his back.
So were you riding bareback?
Yeah, no, but he was in the fucking saddle. He was in the saddle, and I was sitting behind the saddle on, like, holding on to him on the butt. Yeah. And again, know nothing about horses. Back then, I probably should have said, like, no, I'll wait. We'll take turns.
No. I mean, you like, when I did ride, because I was on stage in Jacksonville, Florida, talking about horses.
Yeah.
And these people that come ride our horses. And they were even more careful with their horses that they've been riding for years and decades than I've ever, like, known some. Because I did have cousins that had horses, and we would ride them bareback, and they'd be like, just hop on there. Like, a couple times that happened.
Sure.
And then I go to these people's homes that, like, you know, they've professionally been barrel racing,
yeah.
And I'm like, oh, we weren't this careful around these creatures back in the day.
Girls are big into barrel racing. I know a lot of girls love that stuff.
What is it? You just go...
You, like, serpentine on this obstacle course, and you, like, literally... Have you seen how, like, sharp they can cut with those horses?
Yes.
The horses are like this, like, going around the barrel. You basically do it for time. You run this obstacle course and go around these barrels and see how fast you can go.
See, and
it's impressive.
Some kids are eating Tide Pods, and some are seeing how quickly they can get a horse to run around a barrel.
Yeah.
You know, and they make fun of horse girls, but it's a lot healthier obsession than other people's.
That's right.
We're not huffing paint.
Really strong adductor muscles too. It's good. It works out well in the long run. I think.
See. Stop making fun of horse girls.
You got to do something about that.
I know.
There's a bit somewhere in there. There's something to be extracted from that.
I want to compete in the hobby horse stuff. Like, I want to be a girl. I'll barrel race. I will run. I want to run around a traffic cone as fast as I can.
Yeah. So one thing you talked about this earlier, and I forgot to ask this. Now I want to. The thing I would be most concerned with if I was ever dating a comic, and this sort of leads to my question, is, like, if I'm going to end up in the material without even knowing it, like, where do you draw most of your material from?
I'm a storyteller. Like, I talk a lot about childhood. I mean, yeah, I talk about my whole life. Yeah, I talk about my boyfriend all the time. I don't talk. If it was his preference, he's like, why don't you talk about me that much anymore? Like, when I did a Tonight Show set, he was like, what about that bit about me? I'm like, this isn't. I have 5 minutes. It's not about you.
It's not about you.
Yeah. My stuff is personal. Like, there's all different styles. Some people are like, they do like quick, like wordplay, more jokes, whatever else. I tell stories about my life, and I talk about.
Are they usually based in true events, or do you, like, kind of make up your jokes from the beginning without basing them on anything in reality?
No, they're all based on true events. I mean, yeah, sometimes they can, like, as you talk and whatever else, you know, you get more creative, and your stories can get a little bit more wild, but some of them are really, like, pretty much the truth. I think it's not necessarily, I mean, I think it's like you can go creatively two different ways. You could start telling a story that's true, and then you just gotta get creative with painting a story, and it goes wild. Or I kind of like the idea of, you know, telling a story and then connecting it to, like, your heartstrings or your brain or what you were thinking, and making the joke about the person behind the story and, like, what they were thinking, or, you know, whatever. The psychology behind the experience, kind of thing.
It doesn't have to be a true story to be a hilarious story. I mean, not even close to that. There's
for sure.
My favorite thing that a lot of comedians do, I think Schumer does this a lot, where she'll tell a story and it's just ridiculous, and at the end the punchline goes and everybody's laughing, but everybody's, like, uncomfortable because you're hearing the story about her, like, I don't know, popping like 10 birth control in a week or something, and she'll be like, these are jokes. Like, some of these are jokes.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, like, you exaggerate everything else, but it's like, you know, it's an extension of your brain, like your soul. You're like, yeah, I mean, if I could, I would. Yeah. If I could, Plan B or 10 birth controls. You know, is it the same thing? Yeah, and it's all like you're not telling a memoir. It's comedy.
It's entertainment first and foremost. Yeah. It doesn't have to be based in reality.
For sure. Yeah.
So what are you doing right now? Obviously, you're going to the Improv. Is that tonight?
Yes, I have 2 more shows tonight. I had one Thursday, 2 last night. I think first show tonight is pretty sold out, and second one there's some Dude, these crowds are phenomenal. I don't know if it's because y'all's brains have been baked by the sun and
Could be.
you just have a little bit more fun.
Yeah.
A lot.
So you like Tempe?
I
the
love
Improv.
it. Oh my
Yeah.
God, I loved it. I did CB Live in Blue Ridge 9 months ago and had a blast. These crowds are like, I would love to come back here and shoot a special.
Oh, that'd be sick.
Yeah, it's so fun.
I don't remember who the last person I saw shot their special at the Improv. I've seen a couple.
I mean,
but
it's like they're comedy fans. They're not. They're down for the silly. They're down for the ride. They're not uptight. They'll also like sit there and like appreciate the, like if you've got a story that kind of, you have some ebbs and flows. They're with you for the ride. They're not like, we're getting bored, do more dick jokes. Like they're comedy fans. Like they're good for all the different aspects of it.
yeah, the last person we saw Joey Diaz at the Improv.
Ooh, that was a good one. That was really good. That was mid-pandemic, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, he came out. He came out and talked about his plan for avoiding getting corona. He's like, I'm just gonna eat my girlfriend's ass constantly. My immune system's gonna be stronger than a motherfucker. And that is, I think, in my opinion, the biggest OG in comedy right now is Joey Diaz.
He's like, I think he might be 282 years old. I think he. I've never met him. You just like see him and you're like, oh,
I want to meet him so bad. I'm
like, oh, you started with Richard Pryor. Do you know what I mean? Like you're like, you've been in this for so long, and like he's so fun to watch because you're like, oh, you don't give a fuck.
Oh,
he's just so fun.
And when he comes out, another thing people don't really get. I mean, he has a presence to him without even saying anything. When he comes out, first of all, his head is like this.
Yeah.
He's just this giant.
He's like part mastiff.
Yes. He looks like a linebacker. You're like, whoa, all right. I don't know what this guy's going to start with, but he's already kind of got me. I'm paying attention. But the Improv is probably my favorite place to see comedy. And if I've seen here, and I've seen one in Austin. I haven't seen Rogan's new spot. I want to go to it. The
Mothership.
The Mothership. Yeah.
Yes.
Have you done that yet?
No, I was in Austin. God, like maybe a month ago now. But I was doing the club that was Creek and Cave. It was very fun. But
this is not. It was this.
No, not Mothership. They were like down the street from each other. But
that poor son of a bitch! What's gonna happen to the Creek and the Cave? It's gonna get smashed. Joe Rogan opens up his competition right across the street.
Goodness.
I'd be like, oh, great.
I know. It's like, dude, but Austin, the thing is, it's not even just the Creek and Cave. There, that one strip, 6th Street. There are 3 other clubs that are all right next to each other. Austin is becoming like the alternative comedy scene.
Well, everyone left LA. Everyone got out of there during the pandemic and went to like here and went to Austin. Yeah, that's what it felt like, at least.
Yeah, I mean it's booming. You can go down there and you could. It's almost like a mini New York. You could go and you could do 4 shows a night easily.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm curious. Is there a particular venue, if you could pick one, that you would do stand up at?
Forever and always. oh man, I don't. Denver.
Okay.
I would say city wise, Denver has been my favorite.
Is that's not the Red Rock? Which one was the? Where's the Bill Burr did his at the Red Rock?
The Red Rock's
it's a huge. That's like
it's
the big
an amphitheater.
Amphitheater.
Is that in? Where is that?
It's outside of Colorado.
It's in Colorado, I thought. The Red Rock somewhere. I don't know.
Maybe it's like an hour outside. I don't know.
We'll say Northwest.
Yeah.
We'll say Northwest.
Yeah. Those people.
Which venue in Denver, though? I mean, what's it? The one you?
Well, I've never done. Comedy Works would be my dream. I've done Denver Comedy Underground was this place I did recently, and they're downstairs, but they have a church above, and we sold so many tickets. We did a church show. It was in a church, so there was like different levels, and there was pews, and we sold the whole thing out.
What kind of church?
Non-denominational, but
okay.
I did my material with a crucifix behind me, a giant crucifix and an altar, and I was like, I'm gonna do my dirtiest jokes.
Absolutely.
Oh, it was so fun. I was like, if I survive this, then I might be an atheist, because if
did you? I had heard that the Mothership building that he bought and built was actually owned by a cult prior to him doing it.
Really?
Yeah, I heard that.
I heard that.
Too,
Yeah. Rogan said that there was they were called, I think they were literally called The Faith. And the guy, like...
Creative.
Yeah, I know. Big gold star for him. It's the same story as always. He took all their money. He took all their wives, and then he went bankrupt or something like that. And then Rogan brought the building.
Rinse and repeat.
Right. And he goes, I'm going to go do this in Colorado Springs next. Bye. Yeah. That makes sense. I mean, that is actually what people say all the time. They go, if your venue... if your strip club or your church fails, turn the venue into a comedy club. Yeah. We'll just use the same stage you used.
Oh, man, I feel like because the same people that go to a strip club will go to a comedy club, but a comedy club is so much better. It's so much more, it's chiller. It's
cheaper.
And cheaper.
You don't have to pay them as much.
Unless you're not going to leave there feeling a little bit shitty about your decision.
You absolutely are. But... you won't spend as much money.
True. Very true.
It's there's still diseases in there, but
in
less.
the comedy club,
Yes.
but less. Yeah. More interaction with the person on the stage.
Right. It's
More
a different kind
talking.
of crowd work.
Oh my God. Can you imagine if you this just came to me. You should infiltrate a strip club.
They
go
do that
on
in Atlanta.
stage and just start doing comedy.
They do that in Atlanta.
Don't even tell people that you're going to go up there and do it.
I've done it. I
You've
started
done
in
this?
Atlanta. The Mecca of strip clubs. They would have open mics at
That's great.
strip clubs, and the men were. It was you go in on a Wednesday night, and you'd be like, "Listen, here's my joke about my mom," and they're like, "Could you fucking move?"
Didn't they do that on Miss Maisel?
They did. She did do it on Maisel. Yeah.
It's like they're like, "Oh, this is we would have we'd have open mics at Twin Peaks, like a Hooters.
Yeah.
And you will never have as much respect for a stripper as you do trying to upstage them. And you're like, no, this is you. You got this candy cane. I'm gonna take a step back.
Like, I'm not gonna take my clothes off, and I'm gonna sit up here and talk.
Right. And they're like, we don't give a shit about you. We don't stop talking and take your clothes off. You're like, no, I'm an artist. Please respect me.
It's definitely an interesting gig that you have going on. I mean, there's so many different ways to do it.
There's a million different ways to do it. As you go and you find more success, you're like, I'm happy I don't have to do this, and this now.
And you're doing it in a way that is actually your own. I mean, with the podcast, with your social media. That's the cool thing about that, is that you actually, at the end of the day, I mean, you are building up your resume. You have the ability to show that to anyone and bring on guests and build on your own. Mm-hmm. And you're not only reliant on whether or not you get booked in the mothership or whether or not you know what I mean?
Like, for sure. Yeah, there's like a million different... That's the beauty of social media and like comedy coming out of the pandemic is... people can, there's so many different lanes to do it. I mean, back in the day, it was like you had to get on Johnny Carson's. You had to get on The Tonight Show. Johnny Carson's. I said it like it was his strip club. Go perform at Johnny Carson's.
Plural and singular.
Yeah. But it was like, very like the industry was like, you're our darling. We've picked you this year. No one else. And now there's a million different ways, and you might not ever do the Cellar or the Comedy Store or the Mothership, and you could explode. You'd be selling out theaters. Yeah. There are well, I shouldn't put quotes around it, but there are like people who got big on TikTok or whatever, and they're selling out theaters doing stand up, and they're just they weren't having a stand up comic before. But no, I'm happy for them. So there's a million different lanes to do it now. I mean, in all those original avenues are still there and work, but it's not the end all be all, which is cool.
Yeah. So this episode won't actually air until well after tonight.
No
Probably
worries.
Be a couple months. But if people want to find out your schedule, want to come see you, want to figure out where you're going to be, Instagram, best place to send them?
Yes, please, just the gram. Everything else is fine, but I love the gram. At it's Katherine Blanford, ITS. KA, it's fine. You'll get it. It'll just pop up. Or if you're old, Facebook.
There you go. Oh, yeah, seriously.
LinkedIn.
I hate Facebook. LinkedIn's actually new to me, but
No,
yeah.
Facebook is how I sell a lot of my tickets. I don't know why.
Really?
I've blown up on Facebook.
It's the biggest platform. It still is.
I know.
Bigger than Instagram.
I started a page and would throw, like, if I make stuff for Instagram, I would just kind of throw it on Facebook. And all of a sudden I looked down, I was like, it's double my numbers on any other platform.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
people, and you can still sell ads and stuff on Facebook, and so that's how I sell a lot of tickets. People are like, we saw your ad on Facebook, and it's you forget about it, and then you're like, oh, you're still daddy.
That's outstanding. Another good reason for social media. Well, Catherine, that was a lot of fun.
Thank you so
That
much.
was a
Thanks for
blast.
coming on.
Good job,
Thank
buddy.
you. This episode is brought to you by Lisa Frank.
Yes.
Check Lisa Frank out.
Yeah.
I need to, if she's alive, I got to talk to her. I got to figure out where, why.
I'm surprised you don't have any Lisa Frank in here.
This
This is the boys' version of Lisa Frank.
is the boys' version of
Yeah.
Lisa Frank.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Cool. Thank you guys so much for watching that episode of Becoming the 1% podcast. If you like the content and you want to see more of it, hit the like and subscribe. Activate that notification bell as well. We really appreciate it. If you guys want to see more of it, we actually have the Becoming the 1% Instagram, and the podcast is available on Spotify. For our socials, we have Strict Vision Athletics on Instagram, we have it on YouTube, and we have it on TikTok.